get to today's training. It's October, and to this month, like I said, we are going to cover all manners of interviewing strategies so that you can really rock it in your next interview. And today I want to tackle the toughest interview question. And it is not, tell me about your weaknesses, or what weaknesses do you have. That's not it. The hardest question, and I know this from doing a lot of interview coaching and mock interviews with my clients, and talking to other hiring managers and recruiters who interview people, which is actually how I developed a lot of this content, because there was some surprising things that I learned recently about what goes on in an interview. But what they say is people often miss out on a huge opportunity right off the bat in the interview. Right away, they miss this huge opportunity to sell themselves, to basically own the interview right from the get-go. And that question is that you will hear in every interview, at the beginning of every interview, is tell me about yourself. And what people get wrong is they actually answer the question like they just met someone for the first time. And it's a completely understandable error, because you are probably meeting this person for the first time, and just like you would at a party or a networking event, although I'll tackle this in November networking because I don't want you to do this in a networking event either. But if you're just out somewhere and you meet somebody, or you're at a function, you know, you were tagged along and you don't know anybody there, and people are like, hey, nice to meet you, what's your deal, what's going on with you, you would answer something like, oh, hey, I live over here, I know so-and-so through this, I work over here. And it's a very broad overview. Maybe you would say, oh, well, I have 2 kids and I live in Cole Harbor, and I got a dog, and you know, life is good, right? It's just like this general useless answer, basically. It really tells people nothing, except like your vital statistics. It's like a census, like when you get those like population census reports. It's just, you're just saying like, oh, I'm married, I've got 2 kids, and this is where I live. It's pretty much useless to the people that you're meeting, and it is even more useless to an interviewer in an interview for a job. Okay, so you're not going to answer this question like it sounds like you should, right? It sounds like, tell me about your personal self, but that's not what they're asking. They're asking about your professional self. They're asking about your work self, and that's something altogether different. So what I want you to think that they're asking you is something else entirely. When you hear, tell me about yourself, I want you to think what they're asking is, why should I hire you? Okay, this is one of the few questions in an interview where I would actually advocate for you to use the politician's trick, right? Have you ever seen, I'm sure you have, you've seen interviews with politicians. Politicians are particularly good at this, where the interviewer asks them a question and then they don't answer. They say something, but they're not actually answering the question. They just say whatever it is they actually wanted to say, right? They figure, hey, I've got an audience, whether it's TV, radio, whatever. So I'm going to get my message out there. I don't actually care what the question is. I'm just going to say whatever I want. So you've seen this, right? I'm sure. And in media, like from a reporter or an interviewer side, it's super annoying, because then you have to call them on it, or you have to ask the question over and over again until you get something resembling an answer, or something that resembles usefulness. But in a job interview, this is actually a good thing. So when, right from the get-go, when an interviewer says, tell me about yourself, I want you to use the opportunity to answer the question you wish you were asked. Like, why are you a perfect fit for this role? Why are you the better candidate? Why should we hire you? Why are you here today? Why do you want to work for us? So I want you to answer all those questions you want them to ask you. Is there something about your career history or your accomplishments or anything that you're really, really proud of that you really hope that they're going to ask you in an interview? Well, answer those questions that you want to get right from the get-go when they say, tell me about yourself. Okay? Now, there is a really great way to structure this answer so that it, again, sort of like the politician's trick, we're going to structure the answer so that it sounds like you're answering, tell me about yourself, but it's going to really sell you in the best way possible without you being all braggy. I certainly don't want you going into an interview and they say, tell me about yourself, and you're like, well, I can tell you I'm the perfect candidate. And I don't want you to do that. But I want you to really sell yourself. I want you to really capitalize on this opportunity. It's one of the few questions you're going to get where you get to say basically whatever you want, and you get to really highlight the experience you want to bring to the forefront, the accomplishments that you've had, any awards that you've won, anything at all that you think really sets you apart. This is your opportunity to tell them about it. And the other major benefit of this is, in psychology, there's a theory that's called like the primacy and recency theory, which means that people are more likely to remember the first thing that you say and the last thing you say. So the most recent thing you leave them with, so that would be like the end of the interview, they're more likely to remember whatever you said last, and they're also more likely to remember anything you said at the beginning. So when you're asked at the beginning of an interview, tell me about yourself, it's a huge opportunity for you to sort of lay down everything you want them to really take away about you as a candidate. Okay? So here, there is a formula for structuring this answer, and here it is. So you're going to start with telling them how many years relevant experience that you have. If you're making a huge transition, speak with a career coach, because there's still a way to say how many years experience you have, even if it feels like you don't really have any. There is a way to sort of tackle that part of the answer formula. But if it's a more traditional thing, you're moving up in the sales organization, or you're looking to do some more management and operations, or whatever you're planning to do, if it's a similar career path, say how many years experience you have. And if it's not necessarily position specific, say how many years experience you have like in the industry. So if you're looking for like a management role in sales, but you've never managed before, you could still say that you have, over 10 years experience in sales, or I have over 15 years experience in communications, or I have over 10 years experience in technology. Years experience in either the type of position that you're looking for or the industry that you're applying for. Then you're going to talk about what your most recent job was. So you're going to say, I have over 10 years experience in sales. Most recently I was working, or currently, if you're still working, currently I work for Sunshine Corporation doing blah, 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 whatever your position is. And then you're going to summarize that position. And this is important because, like I've mentioned many times before, position titles, especially these days, because some position titles are just whack. I'm sorry, but they are. Like, I've seen customer service ninja. Like, what is that? I'm not joking, actually. That's a real position title. Like, I've seen ninja. And I go to like the company's website, and that's how they have positions listed. Like, literally like a customer service ninja. Like, I don't know. So because position titles don't always accurately reflect what it is you do, you're going to quickly summarize the scope of your role. So maybe, currently you're the sales manager for Sunshine Corporation. You oversee 5 sales representatives, and you're responsible for managing their quotas, managing their sales pipeline, tracking data, and delivering coaching. Keep it brief, but give some scope to it. Show sort of what your scope of responsibility is. Like if you have international teams, include that information. If it's a regional role, include how big is that region? Is it like, you know, I'm in Nova Scotia right now, so is it just the HRM or is it all of Atlantic Canada? Regional can mean different things to different companies. So you're going to summarize the scope of your role. Then you're going to pivot and you're going to outline some of your accomplishments in your current role. This is really important. This is proof that you can have an impact on the company that you're applying to work for. So when an interviewer is listening to this, they're envisioning that impact at their company. So you want to talk about accomplishments. You want to talk about anything that you've changed that's had a positive impact. Any sales that you drove, any changes in marketing, social media followership, anything at all. And if you're really struggling to come up with accomplishments, the video training that I did in Update Your Resume Month for the experience section, I go through a whole list of questions and ideas for coming up with accomplishments no matter what your role is. So go there. That can be very helpful in trying to come up with what accomplishments you can say. And you're going to sort of frame it in a way that they will envision you doing that for them. So you could say, you know, currently I'm a sales manager at Sunshine Company. I oversee a team of 5 sales representatives that covers all of Atlantic Canada. I'm responsible for their coaching, tracking their metrics, and driving achievement of our monthly sales goals. This past year, I implemented a new sales system that delivered 20% increase in sales. Next month, I'm on track to deliver a 15% year-over-year increase from our prior November, which is very exciting for us. And the year when I was first hired into the role, I overhauled all of their reporting and tracking from manual to digital, something like that. So when you're saying all that, you're not saying it to brag. You're just saying, like, this is what I've done. So this is what I know how to do. And this is something I could do here. That's it. And that's all. That's why you're saying it. You want them to understand that you can repeat the success that you've had in the past with them. Okay? I've also seen this work if, say, in your current role, like if you're looking for a new job, maybe it's because in your current role, things aren't going so great. So you could bring up a previous role and talk about accomplishments there if they're stronger. So what you would say is, currently I'm the sales manager at Sunshine Corporation. I oversee a team of 5 sales representatives that cover all of Atlantic Canada. And prior to that, I was actually the director of sales for XYZ. And in that role, I blah, 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 blah. And then you outline your accomplishments for that role. So you could just go a little bit further back in your history, but just don't get too long-winded about it, because there's a whole second half to this answer that is really vital. Okay? So this is sort of the first half where you're going to say your year's experience, what you're currently doing, quickly summarize the scope of your current role, and then get into accomplishments either from your current role or a prior role if they're stronger in a prior position. Okay, so that's sort of like the first half of your formula. The second half is where you shift from, this is about me, to, now let's talk about you. So now you're going to shift into the interviewer's company. You're going to shift your focus there. So you want to tell them in the second half of your answer why you applied for that job. What attracts you to that company? What attracts you to that role? when you were job searching, why did you stop on that job ad? What is it about that job at that company that excites you, that, you know, made you apply? You really want to drive it home with them that you are not just looking for any old job. You want them. Okay? So you want to make them feel really freaking special here. You want to butter them up. This is like this is like first date, kind of like, I'm into you and you only. Okay? This is like I don't know, have you ever been on a date and the person that you're out on a date with, you know, an attractive person walks by and they look away. They like follow the attractive person that walks by and like they take their attention off of you. And you're like, well, they're just looking, but it's still, you're like, hey, like, hello. So this is sort of the same thing. So you don't want to take your eye off the ball here. You want to bring it right back to them. Make them feel special. Make them feel like they are the only organization that you want to interview for. Later, when you're negotiating a salary, you're going to turn the tables a little bit there. But for now, in your first interview with them, you want to make them feel really, really special. They're the one and only. So you want to really talk about and hammer home why you stopped on their job ad, why you want that job, that position with their company. Okay? And that's it. That's how you want to sell yourself for the position in that first question. Tell me about yourself. I have an example I'm going to read for you, okay? So you just can see how this would sound as an answer. And like I said, people are more likely to remember the very first things that you say and the last things that you say. So you want to get all of the really great stuff that you have to say and sell yourself on in this first answer. It's critical, okay? And it's your only opportunity to sort of go off script and say what you want to say. So here is, sorry, I'm looking down, I'm going to read this to you. So here's an example of how this would sound. So, tell me about yourself. I've been working in sales for the past 7 years, most recently as an account executive with Sunshine Corporation, where I managed a portfolio of 50 national clients. During that time, I won several awards for achieving and exceeding my sales objectives. I am highly client-focused and believe that prioritizing client success will naturally translate into client retention and sales growth. Now I'm looking for a new challenge, and I would like to transition into a management role where I can train and motivate other account executives to achieve success. I believe a position with cloud company would be an excellent fit for me and my client-centric approach to sales. Okay, so that's how it would sound. Another way you could talk about the company that will really get them excited about you is if you could weave in some industry news. So if you're applying for some sort of leadership role or like a project management role or a product management role, and you could say, I was really excited when I saw this opportunity because I know you guys are launching whatever you're launching in the future or whatever that news is, or I've heard that you're rapidly expanding. That's really exciting to me. I really want to be part of building something and expanding something. Or if you can talk about their mission, your mission is really exciting to me. I have a personal belief in that as well. That's a good way too, to really sort of butter up the interviewer. I'm saying butter up, but make it genuine. Like, if you really are excited about a rapidly expanding company, I want you to say that. If you're really genuinely excited about their mission, I want you to say that. I want you to talk about it. Make sure it's genuine, but I do want you to talk about what excites you about the employer in the second half of your answer to this question. Okay? And as you can see from that example, it's not overly long. Written out, this is 5 sentences. And this is an answer I would recommend. Try writing it out. Try writing it out and practice reading it so that it will come off the top of your head a little bit more smoothly, so it doesn't sound like you have it memorized. But I would recommend like writing this one out, practicing it, because it's the question you really, really want to nail in an interview. Okay? That's it. That's all I wanted to say today. So next week, we're continuing on with the interviewing, and we are doing, situational questions, or those behavioral questions. Yeah, I've got a formula for that too, so that you can answer any situational question they pose to you. No problem. That one we'll get off to, that one I'll get you on, no problem. That one, once you know the formula, you can answer any situational question. Then the following week, I'm going to give you questions to ask the interviewer at the end that are more than just the standard, so when do you expect to know something? I mean, I do want you to ask a form of that question, but there's some stronger questions that you should also be asking that will really impress the interviewer. There's still a way to be sort of selling yourself with the questions that you ask at the end of an interview. And then the very last Friday of this month, I'm really excited for, we're going to talk about what to wear to an interview, because I know that can be a challenge all its own. And as someone who has interviewed for teaching roles and speaking engagements and that sort of, and workshop facilitating, sometimes you spend an embarrassing amount of time in your closet, and it can be difficult. But I'm gonna help you through that one too. All right, that is it. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. My Canadian friends, it's the long weekend. It's Thanksgiving. And to my American friends, yes, it's Thanksgiving in Canada. We do it like this year is almost 2 months before you guys have your Thanksgiving. But it's Thanksgiving here in Canada, so it's a long weekend. We get the Monday off. Have some turkey, go for a walk. The leaves are beautiful. Hopefully the sun will be shining wherever you are this weekend. Enjoy it, and I will see you back here next Friday for another live Lunch and Learn. See ya.